People hear a headline like, "How long could Britain really fight if war broke out tomorrow?" and imagine some Hollywood version of total war. Endless waves of troops, factories roaring 24 hours, country uniting overnight. Reality is much narrower, much more technical, and in some ways more uncomfortable. First, we have to be clear what kind of war we are talking about, not nuclear exchange. If nuclear weapons are used, the question how long can you fight becomes meaningless. We are talking about a high-intensity conventional war in Europe, with Britain directly involved, maybe even hit on its own territory. On paper, Britain is not weak. You have a professional, well-trained army, a capable air force, powerful navy, nuclear submarines, integration into NATO, long experience of operations. The problem is not quality. The problem is scale and stockpiles. For 30 years, British defense thinking was, we send a small but very good force somewhere far away for limited time together with Americans. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, small deployments in Eastern Europe. The whole system is built for short, sharp deployments, not for grinding industrial war where thousands of shells fly every hour for months. Look at three things: people, ammunition, and industry. First, people. The regular British Army is around size of big football stadium crowd. You can deploy a brigade here, a brigade there, but to sustain serious casualties week after week, you need deep reserves and political will for mobilization. Conscription is political dynamite, so in any real emergency, Britain would lean hard on existing professionals, reservists, and allies, not on some romantic wave of volunteers. Second, ammunition. Modern war eats artillery shells, air defense missiles, precision bombs, drones, spare parts. In Ukraine, we see what it looks like when both sides fire tens of thousands of rounds per day. Most Western stockpiles were never built for this tempo. Many experts quietly say the same thing. In a truly intense fight, without urgent resupply from abroad, British stocks of key munitions last days or weeks, not years. This is not because someone is lazy. It is because for decades the assumption was, we fight small wars with total air superiority and America's factories behind us. You do not build warehouse full of missiles for a war you do not plan to fight. Third, industry. In Second World War, if you lose a tank, you send letter to factory in Midlands and few months later new tank rolls out. Now supply chains stretch across Europe, the US, Asia. Components are made in peacetime quantities. You cannot click fingers and triple production of complex missiles or jet engines. Even if there is money, you need time to hire people, expand plants, secure raw materials, retool lines. So, if war starts tomorrow, Britain enters fight with excellent but relatively small force, limited stockpiles, and an industrial machine that needs months or years to scale up. That is the basic picture. Now, this does not mean Britain collapses in week one. Remember alliances. Britain is not some lonely island with no friends. It is in NATO, tied into American, European, Canadian logistics. In real crisis in Europe, the question is not how long can Britain fight alone? It is how fast can NATO as a whole move from peacetime comfort to wartime production. This is like a group of neighbors in apartment building. One neighbor is big, loud guy with home gym and full pantry. That is the United States. Some neighbors, like Britain, are fit, know how to fight, but they keep only few days of food at home because there is supermarket downstairs. If real disaster hits and elevators break, they can defend themselves for a while, but long term they depend on supplies from that big neighbor with huge basement full of stuff. There is also moral side. Many polls say, most people would not fight for their country. But this is abstract. It is easy to tell pollster you stay home when bombs are not falling. History shows something different. When people see their own cities threatened, their own families at risk, many who said never suddenly become volunteers, or at least accept sacrifice. Higher taxes, mobilization, rationing, long shifts in factories. So how long can Britain really fight? If we speak about small deployment to Baltic, somewhere like that, answer is as long as political will holds and NATO supply lines are safe. For this, weeks turn into months quite easily. If we speak about worst case, serious war in Europe, contested skies, heavy casualties, missile strikes, then the first phase is measured in days and weeks. How long do existing stocks last? The second phase is measured in months. How fast can government move from talking about toughness on TV to signing contracts, reopening lines, training new units, maybe bringing in some form of conscription? The third phase, if it ever comes, is years of industrial competition. Whose economy adapts better? The uncomfortable truth is simple. Britain still thinks like a country of small, limited wars, while some of its potential adversaries are training and arming like they expect giant, brutal one. In the end, the real question is not how long could Britain fight tomorrow, but how much work is government, industry and society ready to do today so that this question never has to be answered in practice.